In the general population, a mere 1% holds a disproportionate amount of wealth, and within that 1%, a fraction, 1/10, controls nearly all of it. To illustrate, the wealth of the richest 100 individuals in the world is comparable to that of the bottom 2.5 billion people. This stark inequality raises concerns, and while it may seem unjust, it reflects a fundamental principle governing the distribution of creative output across various domains. This principle resembles a natural law, which we will explore further. Consider the game of Monopoly. When you play, one player inevitably ends up with all the money. If you play multiple rounds, the same outcome occurs. One person accumulates all the wealth. This phenomenon is a predictable result of random trading interactions. For instance, if you gather 1,000 people and give each a set amount of money to trade based on coin tosses, over time, one individual will amass all the wealth while others end up with nothing. This tendency is a deeply ingrained characteristic of creative production systems. The challenge lies in addressing the fact that resources often concentrate in the hands of a small elite, leaving a vast majority with little to nothing. Blaming this on the oppressive nature of a specific system oversimplifies a complex issue. No one has found a reliable method to redistribute wealth from the minority who control it to the majority who lack it. Attempts to do so often result in resources flowing back to the top, regardless of who occupies that position. The concept of wealth distribution applies universally across all areas of creative production. For example, in classical music, just 5 composers, Bach, Beethoven, Brahms, Tchaikovsky, and Mozart, account for 50% of the repertoire. This pattern extends to various fields, including sports and urban development. While many lament the concentration of wealth among the top 1%, it is an inevitable outcome of repeated trading interactions, and we lack effective strategies to counteract it. Interestingly, there is a significant degree of mobility within the upper echelons of wealth. In Canada and the US, for instance, individuals have a 10% chance of being in the top 1% for at least 1 year in their lives, and a 40% chance of being in the top 10%. While the same individuals may not always occupy these positions, a small fraction consistently holds the majority of wealth. This discussion leads us to historical events, such as the aftermath of World War I in Russia. After peasants were granted land and began farming, a small number became highly successful, producing most of the food in Russia and Ukraine. In the 1920s, Lenin's regime targeted these successful farmers, labeling them kulaks, socially untrustworthy elements. Intellectuals were sent to collectivize farms, leading to the confiscation of land from productive farmers. This resulted in violence, persecution, and ultimately the starvation of millions in Ukraine. The Soviet regime exemplified the dangers of class and ethnicity-based guilt, a perilous path that resonates in contemporary discussions about race and group identity. It is dangerous to classify entire groups as guilty based solely on their membership in a particular category. In our daily lives, we must recognize that every action is an investment of some kind, whether financial or otherwise. If we deceive ourselves about reality, we risk becoming financial disasters. In my clinical practice, I have witnessed individuals squander significant amounts of money due to self-deception. Traits such as high intelligence and conscientiousness can lead to financial success, but they are not the sole determinants. The ability to navigate life's complexities often hinges on chance and circumstance. Success is multifaceted. Financial wealth does not equate to overall well-being. Evaluating a person's success requires considering various dimensions, such as health, relationships, and personal sacrifices made along the way. A common misconception is that poverty stems solely from a lack of money. This oversimplification ignores the complexities of managing wealth. For instance, I have worked with clients who struggled with addiction, and for them, receiving money often led to disastrous outcomes. Money can be difficult to manage, and for some, it exacerbates existing problems rather than alleviating them. Moreover, cognitive abilities play a significant role in one's capacity to navigate life's challenges. While society often debates the fairness of economic systems, it frequently overlooks the vast differences in individual capabilities. These disparities create structural challenges that are not easily addressed. I once assisted a client in securing a volunteer position, which turned out to be more challenging than anticipated. He was tasked with folding letters and matching them with envelopes,